Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Ghostface, and Freddy Krueger. It's the last week of October, and if you've clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you're looking to watch some last minute Halloween or TV options. I just wanted only movies and TV shows or episodes that are solely Halloween themed that take place during Halloween. So I'm gonna go through those, and I'm going to put whether they're streaming on a certain platform where you can watch them, some options for all the streaming platforms. I'm trying to do this all in order, or try to make it as seamless as possible, so you can just go to where you have your streaming platform and you can check that out. Hopefully you can still watch these if you're outside of the US. If not, if you have a VPN, you can switch it to that for your streaming platform. I'm trying to think of how to like describe all these movies and pieces of media without having to just read off the synopsis, but if you need to look at any of it, definitely check it out. So for streaming on Netflix, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark came out in 2019 based off the 3 books that everyone loved growing up. I wish they had this as a series. I did like the movie, but I think it would have been even a better series. Supposed to have a second movie come out, but I don't know if that's even happening anymore. This does have scenes of Halloween. They dress up, they go trick-or-treating. It's where they write stuff in a book. Things start to come true. You get to see a lot of monsters, and you can feel the autumn fall vibes, the October. I think it does go into November, I believe, but it's that great time of year just at the end of October, early November to watch this, and just having it still have a scene from a Halloween night, you know, where they're out and about. I think that's definitely such a good movie, and it's like not too scary, but it's also, and it surrounds a haunted house with a lot of undiscovered secrets that these kids in high school have to now deal with. And I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it. Definitely check it out or go online and read about it, but I like it. I like how they still use the monsters from certain characters and certain stories from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark for this movie, so the imagery is really great. So that is on my list. Also on Netflix, I did want to mention is Halloween of 2018 is on there, where the aftermath many years later of what has happened with Laurie Strode and the effects that has happened with Michael and what Laurie Strode has had to go through, and the mental preparations of what if something goes wrong and there's a repeat. Is it as good as the original? No. The original Halloween will always be the best. What made this, you know, this whole cinematic universe for Halloween, you know, made it to what it is, and that's why there was so many movies afterwards. But there's also a trilogy for that, so there's Halloween 2 and Halloween 3. I don't believe those are on there for Netflix, but if you're interested, I'm sure YouTube or another streaming platform has second and third one, probably to rent. If you want a couple lighthearted ones, you could also check out The Curse of Birdge Hollow that came out a couple years ago in 2022. This is about a daughter and a father who have to team up to try to save a town because they're noticing things are going horribly wrong, and they have to do something about it, and this takes place on Halloween. If you want to have like a fun light laugh, that's another option. And then you have the 2020 Hubie Halloween, more of a dark comedy. This famously takes place in Salem, just like Hocus Pocus. The residents are investigating some weird occurrences. They end up dealing with a real life investigation and murder that is taking place and trying to figure out what is going on. Some weird things are happening. Again, it's a comedy, horror, dark comedy. Halloweentown 1998, a great late 90s movie. It's a kids any, and I find it to be such a relaxing watch. It's about a girl that unknowingly finds out she is not just any other kid that wants to go trick-or-treating, and she goes and steps into another world that's just all Halloween all year round, and it's a fun ride. You're just in another portal, you're in another time. These kids have to find out how to win back this town and how important it is to these people and this family. That is available on Disney+. The next one I want to say is Goosebumps. I would say personally to watch the Haunted Mask episodes, because that specifically takes place on Halloween, is the Haunted Mask Part 1 and the Haunted Mask Part 2, which I think if you kind of add that up, it's almost like an hour long. So it's almost like a mini movie in one, and that takes place in 1995, so a mid-90s episodes, you know, Halloween specials. And it's about a girl that wants to not just be cute and funny looking on Halloween. This girl wants to be scary, is able to find something that scares a lot of people. Whoever tries this mask on, they feel like they're just a whole different person, and they have to go through this journey of trying to figure out what is going on and what are they gonna do about it, because it doesn't end up being fun at the end of the day. They do more than trick-or-treating. It's quite a bit of people to figure out what to do. I just love it because it's, again, such a classic time, and you just can go back to when trick-or-treating was literally what everyone was looking forward to, and how intense it would get when you're trying to think of a costume, make a costume. And another one I'm gonna say is a year later in 1996. This is the attack of the jack-o'-lanterns from Goosebumps. This episode also takes place on Halloween, so I also recommend this. This is where they find some people out and about trick-or-treating. They want to go on this like revenge plot. They're trying to figure out how to deal with people and kids being mean, and it takes another turn, and they end up figuring out that they might not just be any other normal trick-or-treaters. This is maybe a whole other level, and again, having it take place on Halloween just makes it even more special. So I definitely recommend those 3 episodes. So for HBO Max, or now named Max, you can watch Trick or Treat. I find Trick or Treat to be timeless, even though it came out in 2007, which wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it could have came out in 2017 or last year or this year. It just holds up, and I think that's, I would say, maybe a hated time for horror movies. A lot of people don't like the mid-early 2000 horror movies, but I think it was so wonderfully done. It is an anthology that does intertwine, so there's short stories in. I don't want to get into all the details, but every story takes place during Halloween, so you're seeing everyone else's point of view and experience during Halloween. Again, if you have never seen this, it's a great rewatch because you kind of pick up on things even the second time or third time around. It specifically tells 5 different Halloween stories in one night, so all these Halloween stories are taking place all at the same time, just in different points of view and different characters, but yet you kind of notice it's almost in one small town, and they're all kind of taking place at once. Some of the stories are about a family, some stories are about some kids, some stories are about some college-aged people, some couples. It's just like in different stages of your life, you're seeing different ways that people are having some horrific horror-esque Halloween nights, and so definitely a great Halloween night movie watch. Now this one I feel like is a little bit more obscure, not for it being an unknown movie, but I always forget that it does take place on Halloween, but it still is taking place on Halloween, so I figured I would just put that in there. House of a Thousand Corpses is on Max. Now this also is from 2003, so another mid-early 2000s horror film. I would say it's similar along the lines of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know what else would be kind of like Hills Have Eyes, that kind of vibe. They end up going to a haunted house on Halloween night, but it goes into a whole other realm in of itself. They meet this crazy family, and again, I'm gonna try to be as vague as possible and not even read from a synopsis. If you haven't seen it, go in blind for all these movies. That's just what I do, unless you need to make sure that everything seems like you want to watch it, especially if you have certain things you don't want to watch. Definitely read up on that if you need to see like what's in here for imagery. Some of it is more horrifying than others for all these movies and TV shows. I would say this is a way more intense movie, because sometimes some people don't want to watch a horror movie, they just want to watch like a Halloween themed TV show or movie, and that is totally fair. This actually becomes a trilogy after, which is kind of funny because they're all kind of different, but you get some reoccurring characters. So it's the start of a trilogy. I think it was supposed to be a standalone, but it's a great movie. So moving on. Amazon Prime or Prime, I put down Monster House. Now if you want something a little bit more lighthearted, I pick Monster House. I think it's underrated. I know that I could list off Halloweentown or Hocus Pocus, which are great watches. You have Nightmare Before Christmas also. I always forget about Monster House, which honestly I think is just iconic in of itself. It's such a different way of experiencing, or even like it's about these kids where something gets lost in someone else's yard. It's almost like a Sandlot storyline to make it Halloween-esque, and they need to somehow get that back from this house. They have to kind of conjure and plot up this scheme to get something out of this house because it's taking everything that anyone has left in their front yard. It gets intense for a kids movie, but I find it to be such a Halloween vibe. It is on Halloween night. It's amazing. And if you don't want to be like scared or horrified or disturbed by like really messed up horror movies or just horror movies in general, Monster House is a great break from all of that, so I definitely recommend it. I will mention that Peacock also has the 2018 Halloween. Also for like a cozy Halloween themed is Casper is on Peacock as well. You can definitely check that out. It's from 1995, another mid-90s movie. A young girl and her father have to move into this really haunted house and trying to figure out what is going on. They're temporarily living there, get the ghost out of this haunted house for the new buyers during the month of October, and they have a Halloween party. You also could watch Hellfest from 2018. I wish there was like real life Halloween themed parks. I don't think that's really a thing as much than you see in the movies, but you could watch Hellfest, go to a crazy Halloween themed amusement park on Halloween night, and also they get more than what they bargained for, and they notice that it's not just at any other haunted house or haunted theme park or Halloween themed park. And you can check that out on Hulu or Peacock if you have those streaming subscriptions. I'm trying to see if like Hulu, like, because I don't think I made a list for Hulu. Like there's horror movies on Hulu, but nothing I can like think of that takes place on Halloween. I will mention that the 1993 Hocus Pocus is on Hulu, so that's definitely a great option. And also just so classic and also holds up. I think it's timeless and takes place in Salem, Massachusetts. So I will definitely link below my Salem, Massachusetts vlog where I go for half a day and try to fit as much as I can in like literally a few hours. So where this new family moves to town and a couple siblings unfortunately open up this book of spells that creates a sense of urgency to also save a town from these three witches in Salem, and they have to somehow defeat them. They have to figure out what they're gonna do with these three witches that are now hunting them down, and a cute little black cat has to help them. Such a quintessential Halloween movie I love watching, so I definitely recommend it for this time of year, or even all year round, but like Halloween is just, it's great. Also, I did mention the 1998 Halloweentown is also available on Hulu. Also the Halloween 2018 Halloween, I know I just mentioned that multiple times, but is also available on Hulu if you want to watch it on there. The 1993 Nightmare Before Christmas, great transition movie if you want to watch it on Halloween because it's entering into the holiday season. From that transition period of November and December, takes place in Halloweentown, just not the Halloweentown movie. You get some crazy out there characters that you just feel like you're in another world. It's also like a musical. I just like the art, and you meet the famous character of Jack Skellington or the Pumpkin King, whatever way you remember it. I know that there's limitations with streaming platforms, who has all of the streaming platforms, so I did want to give some recommendations for some free options. If you do have availability to check out Tubi TV, definitely check that out because it is a free option of watching stuff. You just have to watch it with ads. If you want to see House of a Thousand Corpses, and I did mention that previously, Tubi has it. Another option, also very fitting because Terrifier 3 just came out, so it's a Christmas themed one, but if we want to go back to its origin for Art the Clown, definitely check out All Hallows Eve. If you haven't seen All Hallows Eve, it's available again on Tubi. This came out in 2013. I was able to see the debut of Art the Clown, and it's an anthology series type of movie, kind of similar to Trick or Treat, and how it has multiple little stories all in one. Art the Clown definitely outshines a lot of these stories. It takes place on Hallows Eve, and there's also a second All Hallows Eve 2 as well. I'm not sure if that's available on there. If not, I'm sure another streaming platform has it. Kind of starts out with this kid who is being babysat on Halloween night, and it takes a turn and you get sucked into all these really scary stories that take place on Hallows Eve. Another option, now this is kind of polarizing because I know people just speaking of Halloween, the Halloween 2007 by Rob Zombie is out on Tubi. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are kind of indifferent towards it. If you haven't watched it or you want to rewatch it, it's on there. It's Michael Myers. Goes into a little bit more depth of the making of Michael Myers and what happens and how it started. I think it goes into more of like the psyche. You see a little bit more of the origin of what happens, and it's a little bit darker, grittier, a little bit more disturbing than other Halloween movies, but you just see how the psycho killer grows up, and it just quickly changes all in a matter of moments of how this kid just turns into a literal serial killer. And darker, disturbing take on it. That's how I would put it if you've never seen it. Or if you want to rewatch it, it's on Tubi. And there's also a second movie that Rob Zombie did, Halloween 2, that is a continuation of that movie. Those movies have, it's its own like little world in itself. So if you enjoyed the Halloween 2007, you'll probably like the Halloween 2009. I believe the second one came out that year. There is so many horror movies that still take place on Halloween or around Halloween time. You have the movie Haunt that goes through a haunted house, but they get a lot more than they bargain for. This is the 2019 Haunt, and that is available on Tubi as well. A little bit more real life stuff than just props and actors. It becomes a little too realistic for their liking and they can't escape. You can check it out on Apple TV or Prime as well as an option. Bonus option is Scooby-Doo. Adjacent Halloween. I wouldn't say it's Halloween-esque, but I think there is some Halloween episodes. I don't think I have the list of options for what streaming platform has all these specifically, because I know like Amazon Prime has Scooby-Doo, but I think it only has the first season. Scooby-Doo is also on Tubi as well, but I think it's only the first season and maybe the second season. I'm not sure. If you're thinking of the 1969-1970, also the 2002 version is all in there as well. But if you're looking for just Halloween vibes, there is, I'm just gonna list them out. From Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, there is a Halloween Hassle in Dracula's Castle. There's also, if you remember Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School, you have Scooby-Doo and the Goblin King. A Scooby-Doo Halloween. This was when they were celebrating Scooby-Doo 100th anniversary. This is a 1978 episode called To Switch a Witch. And then you have the episode from Be Cool Scooby-Doo, the Halloween episode. The Headless Horseman of Halloween, Scooby-Doo as well. And then you have Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo and the Spooky Scarecrow that comes many years later. And then you have Ghost, Who's Coming to Dinner. Scooby-Doo is like another classic. There's some great ideas. That's why I'm trying to limit myself to just that. Now this is like so much to go through for all these movies and TV shows. I also would recommend checking out YouTube. I know you can rent a lot of movies and TV shows on YouTube. So if there's something here that isn't on your streaming platform and you don't have availability to any of those streaming platforms, you can rent them on YouTube or your own cable company. And there's so many great movies you can still watch that have the horror element or a scary element to it that either take place during the fall time but isn't Halloween. I'm just trying to think of specific Halloween movies or TV shows that you could watch that I'm planning on watching. Am I planning on watching all of these? I doubt I'm getting to all of these by Halloween or on Halloween. But as I wrap up this video, I would have made this a lot more in depth, but these are just some last minute watch horror Halloween themed watch options that may or may not be on your watch list, but there's some great ideas if you needed something to watch on Halloween or the week of Halloween. I hope I have something here that you would be interested in watching. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this last minute Halloween watch list video, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye.